Okay, we are back on the video record. The time now is approximately 1:33 where the witness is. You may proceed.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Youngblood, I just want to hit a couple of points that we were talking about before lunch, before we move on. We were discussing a few of the presentations that you had been involved in, and you mentioned a talk about Q that got canceled. Can you tell me more about what happened with that event?
Sure. The venue found out that we were doing a talk on Q. Jordan Sather was going to be doing a talk on Q, and the event venue opted not to honor that agreement.
Okay. And what was it? What were your duties in preparing for that event?
Find the venue, organize the advertising and the production of it. Once the venue found out that the letter Q was somehow something we were going to be talking about, and they canceled it, I then went out to find another venue that might work, and I found a few others, but ultimately that wasn't going to happen.
And why was it that the venue was not willing to honor an event that was talking about the letter Q?
Because at the time it was viewed as a political viewpoint of something that was happening in the world, and they didn't want to be attached to a political viewpoint.
Okay. And what was the name of that venue?
E-Town.
Could you spell that, please?
E dash T-O-W. E as in elephant.
E as in
dash
elephant.
T-O-W-N. E-Town.
Okay.
It's in Boulder.
And I think you said that you had gone to look at another venue that declined to.
It was that they had different reasons. It was just too quick to do an about change with that kind of thing. It wasn't about content or anything like that. It was just too quick. We needed to get all of the work that we had done in the building up to it, and we couldn't. The venues were just too overwhelmed with how quickly we wanted to be able to bring that in. The E-Town thing canceled at the last minute, so finding a venue that was going to accommodate us on that kind of a quick note, it was kind of a hope, but that didn't happen.
Okay. And then we talked briefly about Majestic Masquerade that got canceled. What were your duties in setting up the Majestic Masquerade?
Just like everything else, finding the venue, organizing the schedule, putting out the advertising, detailing the run-up show.
Okay, and that was supposed to be in October of 2019, correct?
Correct.
And prior to that, DOD 19 was when Mr. Goode said that he would let you take over presentation or putting together of that event, kind of with a hands-off approach, because he had a lot of other stuff going on at the time, correct?
No.
Can you explain?
Mr. Goode didn't have, it wasn't coming from Mr. Goode that the group didn't want to proceed with putting on an event for 2019. The group being Mr. Goode, Leon Kennedy, and Roger Richards. they had unanimously decided that there weren't enough resources for their organization to put on this event, any event, that yes, their energies were focused in other areas, their money was focused in other areas, and their ability to host an event like that wasn't in their resources. They didn't have the resources. And so I said that I would do a conference and run it through my own company, and Corey and Leon and Roger would all be invited as speakers.
Okay, and how much cash did you put down to sponsor DoD 19?
I had to come up with the $6,000 to secure the Marriott. A lot of the funds and any of the other deposits that needed to happen, the deposit for the permit over at the park, a lot of the funds that were coming in based on tickets were frozen both by Wix and by PayPal. So I didn't have any operating capital until actually after. This was one of the many things that occurred during the production of putting together DoD. But I would say all in all, out of pocket, before I could actually not be out of pocket, was roughly $8,000 to $10,000.
And you're saying that that was not out of pocket, or that was out of pocket? I'm sorry, it was.
That was out of pocket.
A little out, okay. 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 I would like to look at a few documents now. We're going to go back to when we discussed the hemp project. Mr. Roach, could you please pull up BEX2?
And of course, as the witness needs, or you can let me know, I will enlarge any portion thereof for her benefit.
And can you email me these documents? 'Cause
I can share them through Zoom for you.
yeah,
If
I
Miss
need something that I can print. Because right now it's about 4 inches tall. I need to be able to review the whole exhibit at once. So I need you to either email me or give me a link where I can download the documents.
Okay, Miss.
Yeah, I can, let me see.
I mean, I can share them pretty quickly with him, but you know, it's up to you.
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to figure out the fastest way might be, because we can send documents through Zoom, right?
I mean, I can do that for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that might be the fastest way. Let me do something really quick. Or here, I'll just share the link to. Yeah, I think it might be the fastest just to send it. I think we can just send it through the
All right, so like I've just shared that one with him.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Yeah. So do you want me to share more than one right now, or just as we show them?
Let's go as we show them.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Where would I see it?
in the chat.
The chat, the last thing I have here is we have someone in the waiting room waiting to be left in.
Whoops, my bad. Hold on one quick second. Now I've got it set up. There you go, sir. There you go. You got it now?
Yep, it's open. It's gonna take
Okay.
a little bit.
These are really small files. They should be real fast. Well, at least this one is.
Yeah, this one's 6 megabytes. That's not small. But
In today's world, that's nothing.
okay, let me print it out to its normal size. Grab the doc, pull me up, just a level. I can print 2. Coming up.
I'm assuming we're off the record.
Oh, no, we're still on. Yeah.
I'm not getting what
it's-
you're saying then, because it's not clear.
No, it's fine. I wasn't saying anything. We're just waiting for the document to be printed. It's kind of a larger file, so it's taking a little bit of time to print, but it's almost here. Do you have any questions, Ms. Yanaros, while the document prints?
So are you ready to proceed, Ms. Youngblood?
As long as it's not on the document, it's printing right now. But if you want to ask her other questions.
Okay, well, I mean, that's what we have the document up. Okay, we'll go off the record while we're waiting for that to print.
Going
I'm gonna
off
stay on the
video.
record. Nope, staying on, please. Thank you. If you want to send other documents to my office, we'll print them to stay in advance, or so we don't have slowdowns.
Well,
You can send it to us at service@group.com.
Mr. Webb, is this the first remote deposition you've done?
Yeah, it's my first one, counsel. I've done 84 trials, and it's my first remote deposition.
Okay, so
But if you want to send me all the documents, consider doing that. So then we don't have to delay like this, because I'm not going to have my client look at a 3-inch display on the screen, nor am I going to have her restricted to the page of the exhibit that you have. She needs to be able to look at the entirety of the exhibit if you're going to ask her questions about a document that looks like it's 10 or 12 pages long, or actually more than that.
okay, well, this has been produced by defendants.
Yeah.
So this is your
Sure.
document.
Well, then, in that case, why don't you, to speed things up, send us these documents in advance so we can print them, so we don't have to slow things down.
All right.
Yeah, I have a document. What's in front of me is Youngblood 5486 through Youngblood 5497. There's a break in Bates numbers, and it resumes again at 5503. Then it goes backwards to 5498. Let me see if the other copy is kind of the same. It is in the same order. Okay. So 5486 all the way through 5503 is what I just handed the deponent. What exhibit number do you want me to mark this as, counsel?
It's plaintiff's exhibit number 2.
Number 2, got it. Thank you. She has the document. We're ready to begin.
Hold on one second, so we don't get held up here. Okay. All right. Okay, Ms. Youngblood, do you have, are we on the record?
Yeah, we're still on, and if he wants to go ahead and forward that link to someone else to let them print 2 copies while we're doing this one.
Perfect.
She just sent you a link, sir. If you'll download those or send the link to someone who can download them and print them while we deal with this exhibit, then we won't be delayed on anything else.
Sure, you can email that to service@weblawgroup.com and
No,
they'll
no.
turn it out for us.
Can you see the link? Can you see the link?
I
Mr.
can see it, but I don't have email. This computer is a display computer. It's not an email computer.
Okay.
No, that's all right. No, sir. Just right click and copy on the link, and then you can send it to whoever you want, just like you sent the document to someone.
I'll say it again. This computer is a display computer. It's not an email computer. There's someone else that was on it, but not this one.
How did you get the link to someone?
Yeah, what?
They were on the Zoom. You want me to go get them and put them on the Zoom? I could do that. You want? I can do that. If that's easier for you, that's fine.
Going off the video. Okay, we're going back on the video record, and the time is now approximately 1:59 p.m. You may proceed.
And
Thank you.
sure. And just for the record, the videographer chose to go off without my permission. I objected. He argued with me that since I didn't object that we could go off the record, the court reporter, thank goodness, Miss Elliott, doing her duty, Cindy Elliott, and typed the whole time. I appreciate that. We are working on printing up the exhibits. We're prepared to answer questions on exhibit 2 that we have in front of us now.
And for the record, when I was pulling up an exhibit, Mr. Webb started talking at the same time I did and got up and left when I said we were going off the record. So I was under the impression that we were off the record as well.
I was here
All right.
at the door.
Are you ready, Ms. Youngblood?
Yes,
Have you seen this document before?
yes,
And what is it?
it is the ordinance number 2464. That was the mandatory ordinance that came down around the ban on growing hemp, basically.
Okay, I'd like to, Mr. Roach, skip down to page ending in case number 5493.
Okay. And if we could get Miss Youngblood to just pull her screen a little bit. You're at the bottom of our screen, Miss Youngblood. If you could just pull your screen down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't have a visual on anybody, so it's hard to see what
That's
anyone's
good.
doing.
That's perfect right there. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Youngblood, are you looking at page ending in Bates number 5493?
Yeah, uh-huh.
And what document is this?
The hemp grow agreement.
And who put this agreement together?
I think my husband and I think we all did.
Was this ever signed?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, I want you to go down to page ending in page number 5495.
Yep.
And what is that document?
It looks like the same document. Hang on, let me look. No. It's just another pro forma. Another agreement, probably entered into it at a different time when we were figuring out how this was gonna go.
Okay, and that wasn't signed either, correct?
Correct?
Okay, and go down to the page ending in 5498.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
And do you recognize that document?
yeah, it's an email.
From whom?
From Roger Richards.
To whom?
Myself, Leon, and Corey.
And what's the date on this email?
February 1st,
Of what year?
2019.
Okay, and on the bottom of that email, it looks like there's an email from you. Is that correct?
Yes, uh-huh. That with the attachment that says Hemp House. Is that the one you're talking about?
Right, so can you read to me what you've written in that email?
Okay, is this the one, February 1st, 2019 at 3:18 PM, Adrienne Youngblood, that pickup, that's what you want me to read?
Yes,
Okay. Attaches a basic plan of expenses. This is only for the hemp houses. We haven't determined what will be the most advantageous crop.
Hold on, get this slow way down when
Oh,
you read back,
Okay.
because the court reporter,
Oh, sorry.
she can't keep up so fast. So we just go slower when you're reading back.
We haven't determined what will be the most advantageous crop for the outdoor, but that will be a 50-50 split as well. We can all determine the best thing to grow in the next few months as the market dictates. We'll need the next installment of 25K ASAP as we've pretty much depleted funds here just getting going.
was there any other crop that the group had anticipated growing?
Yes, as I said, we began talking about doing a THC crop, but also the crop that we were growing in the hemp houses under a greenhouse. There was conversation about having outdoor hemp as well on another part of the property. So we would also then be growing outdoor where the climate didn't need to be as regulated during the summer months. That never happened, but that was the conversation.
Okay, and that was supposed to be a crop other than hemp, correct?
No, it was to be hemp. And then we weren't doing the THC until we could legally attain the licenses to do so.
Okay, and did you ever try to obtain those licenses?
Not for this company.
Okay, I want you to go back to the very first page of this document.
Okay.
And go down to section 2B. And can you read that aloud for the record, please?
On December 20th, 2018, President Trump signed H.R. 2, the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018. Hereafter, the 2018 Farm Bill into law allowing hemp cultivation far more broadly than the previously allowed pilot programs for studying market interest in hemp-derived products. The 218 Farm Bill also redefines hemp to include all parts of the plant, including seeds, derivatives, extracts, and cannabinoids, and allows the transfer of hemp-derived products across state lines for commercial or other purposes. It also puts no restrictions on the sale, transport, or possession of hemp-derived products so long as those items are produced in a manner consistent with the law. The 2018 Farm Bill requires states wishing to be the primary regulators of hemp cultivation to submit their proposed regulatory programs for federal compliance approval and directs the United States Department of Agriculture to develop federal regulations for hemp farming, which will override state regulatory programs containing less stringent requirements. California has yet to submit a state program to the United States Department of Agriculture for consideration.
Okay, thank you. So the bill that came through that gave you guys the idea that it would be okay to plant hemp was passed on December 20th of 2018, correct?
Apparently.
And it was 2 months later that you had already planted the hemp crop. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you had taken $45,000 from the group in order to plant a crop that was not, you weren't sure, and I believe you testified earlier, it was still a little bit shaky as to whether or not that was going to remain in effect and as a law, correct?
No, we planted the hemp believing that hemp was now legal in California.
Okay, but you weren't sure that it was going to stay like that.
No, what wasn't going to play out like that? We planted the plants with the understanding that hemp was now legal to grow in California.
Okay. And then going back down to the page ending in 548 that we just looked at, the February 1st of 2019, at that point, you were already asking for another $25,000 on top of the $45,000 that had already been invested. And it was 2 months later that bill was overturned, correct?
I'm sorry,
And
what was the last?
It was 2 months later that bill was overturned, correct? In April of 2019.
I'm sorry, which page was that?
Ending in 5498, sorry. They need the installment of $25,000 ASAP. And then it was April 9th of 2019 that the bill was overturned, correct? Ms. Youngblood? Hello?
They're saying they lost audio.
Oh, they lost audio.
Let me at least stop sharing.
Okay, let's go off the record. Can we agree to go off the record once they lost audio?
Yep, we're gonna go off the record.
Okay.
Going off the record at approximately 2:11 p.m. Back on the video record, you may proceed.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move to planning's exhibit number 3. So video.
What are the base numbers, or can you identify it for us?
Yeah,
stack of
this was in your production, your initial production, and the file name is AY3A Hemp 3.20.19 CG copy.
So just so you know, I have hard copies here, so if you can identify it by base number or description of the document, not file name, that'll make it quicker.
Well, it's a video and it's something that you produced to us.
Oh,
Okay, so maybe just want to share a screen and play the video.
It should be up.
So this is kind of transport deities.
One moment, let me do a new share so I can include audio. That's my fault.
Just before you do, would you take a moment, please? I just want council to know I don't do any audio when there's a screen share.
Oh, got
Okay,
it. Okay,
thank you.
that's fine. Thank you.
So this is kind of transport deities are going to be spread out because we've just moved a whole bunch of them out of this area, and we've got some new babies starting to fill up the next round of greenhouse, and our worker extraordinaire. Turn around and say hi, worker extraordinaire. Hello. She's turning into a real ranch girl.
No, it's great.
Don't let her pink gloves and hat fool you. She's hardy.
Okay, Mr. Roach, can you pause the video really quick, please? I'd like the record to reflect that it is paused at, we started at the beginning and it's paused at, is there a time?
43.
43 seconds. Okay, thank you. Ms. Youngblood, was that one of the trades workers that you were talking about earlier?
Yeah,
And they are working on the land in exchange for a place to live, is that correct?
correct.
And that was one of the greenhouses that was built for the hemp plants, correct?
No, that was our existing greenhouse where we made clones.
Okay, so the other greenhouses hadn't been built yet.
Correct.
Okay, and there were some seedlings that had just begun to sprout that we were looking at, correct?
No, you were looking at clones. Those are not seedlings. They don't grow from seed. They grow from branches, plants.
Gotcha. Okay, but they were significantly smaller than the other hemp plants that were
Yeah.
about. Okay.
Yes. Those.
Okay, and
That's what you do when you tend to make more.
was to clone them.
Yes.
Okay. So the 700 plants that we spoke about earlier, are those in addition, are those encompassing the clone plants as well, or are the clone plants in addition?
The clone plants are an addition. They come from the 700.
Okay, and did those ever get planted outside?
No,
Okay, and had any of those plants had any mold at that point at the time of this video?
I don't think, I don't think those plants did, not the clones, no. But
the-
when we go into, when this continues, anyway, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Roach, can you continue playing the video, please?
So, as you can see, the second greenhouse finally got put up, which was quite the journey, quite the effort, because it's been raining and we had to get those plants in here because they were growing so big. We just had to do it. So it happened. And so here we go. Now this greenhouse is much bigger than the one that we just left. And don't have the lights up yet. We don't need them. It's a kind of a different time. And yeah. And here's our other hardy worker.
Mr. Roach, can you pause the video for one more second? Please, thank you. And I'd like the record to reflect that it's paused at the, which mark is it, Mr. Roach?
138.
138, thank you. Ms. Youngblood, is this also one of the trades workers that you were talking about?
Yes,
And what about the other two gentlemen in the picture?
that is another trade worker on the left, who was also my foster son at one time. And that is The man with the gray hair is Richard, my partner, husband.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Roach. You can continue playing the video.
All right.
Ew.
I'm a ranch person.
He's a ranch person.
Oh,
Look.
jeez. Is this what a ranch person looks like?
Totally. Those boots, right on. That's a ranch person. Okay. Richard's saying, oh no, so I'm leaving. No, I'm kidding.
That was 10 minutes.
So that is that second greenhouse. And then, just because I'm walking around here in the rain, because I gotta leave really early tomorrow. This is the next pad for the third greenhouse. You don't have to put it up right away. That's why it's not up yet. This rain has really been a problem. We also need to pour a retaining wall here before we can get this greenhouse up. And that's our next project. But I am taking you down here because I want to show you that down that way, down that path, that's where we're going to be growing the outdoor hemp. And another thing is we're going to be growing tea. We're talking to some other people about growing some tea, and that's going to be super cool. And so what we've done here,
Okay, Mr. Roach, can you please
is
pause
because
the
of
video?
all this new.
Thank you. And I'd like the record to reflect that it's paused at the
305.
3:05. Okay, thank you. Ms. Youngblood, did you guys ever grow the tea that you're talking about?
No.
Okay. I think we're done with this exhibit. We can move on. Thank you, Mr. Roach. Oh, Ms. Youngblood, do you recall the date of that video?
I think it's right there on their happy anniversary, March 20th,
2019.
2019.
Thank you. Okay. When all of that land was cleared, were you able to recoup any of the costs that you had put into the land?
No. No.
There wasn't any sort of product that came out of it that was salvageable? No. Okay. I'd like to pull up planning's exhibit number 4. And this is starting in Bates number GES_Richard_00000228.
Okay, the opponent has exhibit 4 in front of her.
Thank you. I'll give you a minute to look it over.
Okay.
Okay, and I want to focus your attention on the second page. It's a little hard to see the Bates numbers because of the way that the picture was oriented, but it's Bates number GES_Richards_00000229. And I'd like to focus your attention in at the third paragraph on that page.
Which one? Furthermore or the number 1?
Furthermore,
Okay.
can you read that aloud for the record, please?
Furthermore, it's just ridiculous, passively provoking, and confusing to say that Corey is disappointed that I didn't come to him to have this discussion. Is that a joke? Has some magical door of communication between us been opened? What did I miss? It is Corey who set the guidelines for communication, and I am just accommodating those guidelines. He has made it clear that you and Leon are his current proxies. This communication is case in point. Again, this deal has little to do with Corey other than ensuring the success of EOW's distribution without retribution.
So you said a couple of times during this deposition today that Corey wasn't communicating with you directly. And you've expressed in this paragraph some irritation with it. Is that the reason why you went out and decided to trademark dimensions of disclosure without his signing off on it?
No.
Did you ever tell him that you intended to trademark dimensions of disclosure?
No.
Okay, I want to focus down at where it says number 1. Can you please read that paragraph aloud for the record, please?
The first $15,000 in revenue that comes from the licensing the DoD content, the 2019 DoD content to EOW or any other party will go to repay Corey the $15,000 related to the hemp crop investment. That was from Liz Laurie. My response to that, as an aside during conversation, I expressed the thought that I could take funding that I received from licensing the content created by FDC and give it to Corey to satisfy his request for a return on an unrelated investment. Having Corey know that is a kindness extended so he could anticipate that intention. I will not be including that in a formal agreement. I'm just going to do it. That issue is totally separate from these dealings and needs to be kept that way.
So did you ever repay Mr. Goode the $15,000?
No, as it was mentioned in this, by the way, the note here from Liz Laurie that this was sent to me after she spent 12 to 16 hours drafting this settlement agreement. That's actually not accurate. This was dated December 16th. This was 2019. This was actually a response to the licensing of the content that I created at DoD 19. And that was the response. The repayment of the $15,000 wasn't a, that was an offering made because really it was an offering made from my husband who felt really terrible about what had happened. And where that was going to come from, that $15,000, was anybody's guess, since the hemp project not only didn't make a penny, but it actually put us in a place of deficit. So when the offering to satisfy that debt came around, that was more of a personal integrity offering, and it wasn't ever meant to be included in any kind of licensing deals or make it up here or make it up there. That was just going to have to come from another place. And no, the entire amount of $15,000 was not given to Mr. Goode, nor was it none of the other investors asked for repayment. They actually understood what happened. Mr. Goode was the only one who apparently wanted to be paid back for his investment.
Objection non-responsive to everything after no. I want to go down to the next paragraph. Can you please, and I understand from what you've testified that the purple writing is what Ms. Laurie wrote, and then it looks like it's a dark blue color. That would be a response to what she says. Is that correct?
correct?
Okay, can you please read that next paragraph?
Which one is that? Number 2?
Yes.
Corey, you and Roger will come to an agreement and sign legal documents showing that Corey is part owner in DOD and the properties created thereby. Corey feels that a fair compromise for everything that has transpired would be 33% Corey, and then however you and Roger want to split the remaining ownership will be between you and Roger. Corey asserts that he is a 50% owner in DOD with you, but is willing to make this concession since you have said that Roger is also a part owner. And I respond with, I am not sure of what is referred to as the properties created thereby in reference to DOD. Dimensions of Disclosure is the name mark of an event that was produced by Full Disclosure Collaborative. So when Corey feels he has ownership in a mark, he is not a partner nor an officer of Full Disclosure Collaborative and the properties created thereby.
Thank you.
Do you want you?
Oh, right. So just a couple questions over that. So the first dimensions of disclosure was in August of 2018, correct?
Yes,
And Full Disclosure Collaborative was created in, I believe it was April of 2019, correct?
correct.
And then the second dimensions of disclosure was in August of 2019, correct?
Correct.
So the dimensions of disclosure mark was actually created prior to Full Disclosure Collaborative being creative, correct?
Correct.
And
By me.
the trademark for dimensions of disclosure was not filed until over a year after the first dimensions of disclosure that was put together by you and Mr. Goode and Mr. Richards, correct?
I filed April 2nd, 2019.
For Full Disclosure Collaborative, correct? But then the trademark wasn't.
For Dimensions of Disclosure, I filed for the trademark in April 2nd, 2019. Might have been the 4th. That's
Okay.
when I started the process of trademarking Dimensions of Disclosure.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that. So is your testimony, as you sit here today, that you filed for the trademark dimensions of disclosure on April of 2019?
Yes,
Okay. And Full Disclosure Collaborative was filed when?
about the same time.
Okay. Mr. Videographer, can I please share my screen?
Yes, you may do so now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I don't know if it's gonna show since I've got two. Can you guys see my screen?
No,
No? Okay.
You have to hit share screen
Oh, that would help, wouldn't it? Okay.
and then choose the screen you'd like to share.
Okay, got it. All right.
Your first time doing a remote deposition, counsel?
Probably my 50th council. All right. So I have us on the test, the trademark search engine for United States Patent and Trademark Office.
other.
Did you
So-
share your screen yet?
Oh, I did. It should be.
You have to choose, you have to click on share and then choose one of the screens, one of them. There you go. Perfect.
Sorry. Okay, got it.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, now I'm sharing. Okay. So this is the USPTO trademark search engine trust, also known as TESS. And I've got pulled up the dimensions of disclosure application. Can you see the middle of the screen where it says filing date?
Yeah, filing date. I don't see anything, oh, filing date, September 5th, 2019.
So does that change your answer from earlier?
No, it doesn't. I applied for the trademark through trademarkengine.com. I have put those documents in our discovery. I applied for the trademark through trademarkengine.com on April, I want to say 2nd, might have been the 4th. I don't have it in front of me. And I began the process of trademarking the dimensions of disclosure. The reason that I did that was because I had contracted David Icke as the headliner for this conference, not anybody else, but David Icke, through my invitation to David Icke, who accepted that invitation. And when this was happening, there was also a whole lot of social flurry around Mr. Goode and his behavior in the community. He was being accused of doxing. He was being accused of different inappropriate behaviors. In the year 2019, he was not invited back to Contact in the Desert, to Conscious Life Expo. And so there was a lot of difficulty around the association with Mr. Goode. And having contracted David Icke, whose reach far outreaches anybody that I had at that conference before, having contracted him, I realized that because of the live stream I wanted to do, this was going to go far reaching all over the world. And because of all the shenanigans that was going on, I needed to protect the entity, Dimensions of Disclosure, since it was going out on live stream all over the world. It's kind of just the responsibility that I took seriously as far as protecting this entity. And that's when I began the process. Now, I was doing a million things at that time, beginning this conference, David Icke, and then of course, everything else that was happening on the ranch and through life. So I began the process, and I went back to my regular work of putting together the conference. And by the time then I got back some communication back from trademarkengine.com. They needed some more documentation of where it was used in, where Dimensions of Disclosure was being used, that type of thing. And so it wasn't finalized and paid for until September 5th. But the process and the impetus to trademark Dimensions of Disclosure began when David Icke signed on to be the only headliner for this conference.
So it wasn't important. It was important enough to start thinking about trademarking it, but it wasn't important enough to actually pay for the application to be filed until September 5th of 2019.
I knew that the application would jam up anyone trying to, do anything difficult to me while, or try to sabotage the event, which was already happening. And, but I knew that just beginning the process would, start the wheels turning, and I didn't have to pay attention to it until I could focus more clearly on it, because there was a lot of other things for me to focus on getting this conference going.
Okay, but you don't dispute that the filing date, the official filing date per the USPTO is September 5th of 2019, correct?
That is when it was paid for, yes.
And even if it was filed in April of 2019, it was still well after the first Dimensions of Disclosure in 2018, correct?
Yes, how it was, and it was used in commerce then when I bought dimensionsofdisclosure.com, and I created the website and I named the event.
Okay. Okay. Am I not sharing anymore? Okay, good. Okay. I want to focus now down at the next paragraph. It's numbered 3. I won't read you, I won't make you read that whole thing.
Which exhibit are we going to?
Sorry, we're on plaintiff's exhibit number 4, I believe.
Yeah. Number 4, and what page do we want?
Down let's see. The second page, ending in Bates number 229.
Do we want to blow up the third
Okay.
paragraph?
Yes, please. And we're just going to look at that those first 2 dark blue paragraphs. Starting with, I have never discounted. Can you please read that
You want me
aloud?
to
Oh, sorry.
I've
Yes.
never discounted.
Yes,
I have
please.
never discounted what Corey has truly brought to DoD, nor have I ever denied that he had a part in its initial seeds of creation. In all fairness, Corey has no idea what it takes to produce a conference, though his involvement is valuable. Furthermore, I certainly know what he does for a conference, for better and for worse, since I promoted him for 3 years, have assisted him in several conferences outside of DoD, and helped him reach a certain status. There are so many variables that made DoD the success that it was. But the bottom line is, had I not created FTC and accepted full liability and total financial responsibility to produce the event Dimensions of Disclosure 2019, after it was decided by your group that there weren't enough resources for you to do the same, DoD would not even exist.
Thank
I
you.
envisioned, created, designed, and managed every single nuance of the conference and added the component that made it financially, can't read that part because it's torn off, financially, probably good, the live stream experience, which gave it additional financial and optical longevity, extended the reach, created a marketing vehicle that's torn, I can't see that part. Creating a marketing, maybe I can see it. The component, blah, 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 blah. Created a marketing deal for your movie and added additional opportunities after the conference was over with Roger's support and guidance. That's all I can see. So that's all I can see.
That's okay, thank you. I wanted to focus in on that first paragraph where you said, have assisted him in several conferences outside of DoD and helped him reach a certain status. What do you mean by helped him reach a certain status?
Well, what I meant by that is that I was part of the background team that made sure that Corey's speaker presentations were up to par, that Corey was at the places where he needed to be. For instance, at Contact in the Desert 2018, when I was there basically organizing his talks there. Basically just a person who is a part of the of his public presentation, that, you know, being someone who does marketing or anything like that, that would just be anything that you would do for someone. You would, you know, try to help them in their endeavors.
Okay, but Mr. Good did host the previous two conferences that led up to the DoD 19, correct?
No, he didn't host them.
He didn't headline and host those two?
No, he didn't headline them. I think he could have been considered the headliner at Eclipse of Disclosure, but he was not the headliner of Dimensions of Disclosure 2018.
Okay, and who was?
David Wilcox.
Okay, we'll get to that. All right, I want to go to the 6th paragraph down. Where it says David Wilcox then needed to be contracted at a higher rate than I have paid anyone before, even more than Ike requested to come in last minute. Isn't it true, though, that Mr. Good gave up his percentage in DoD for Mr.
No.
Wilcox to show up?
He did not. In fact, there was never a percentage discussed about DoD 19 and Mr. Good. In fact, I asked several times, does Corey want a percentage? In fact, I asked Corey, I believe there's a text in Discovery where I am literally asking Corey about a percentage that he doesn't answer me. And I asked specifically to Mr. Kennedy when he was negotiating for Mr. Good for his speaker fee and all of the other things he needed for Dimensions of Disclosure 2019. I specifically asked Mr. Kennedy, does he want a percentage? He said no. I said fine, because I saw him as a speaker. He's frozen?
No,
no.
sorry. Okay. Isn't it true that you considered Mr. Good as part owner of DoD?
Section vague, overbroad.
I don't think of him as part owner. I think of him as a potential percentage person based on a year-to-year. It would have been a year-to-year offering, but that never happened again, so.
And wasn't it your testimony earlier that you made up the logo for Dimensions of Disclosure?
I did make the logo for Dimensions of Disclosure 2018.
Okay, in the middle of that page that we're on right now, it says I can isolate one 5-minute conversation I needed to have with Rob Counts that dealt with my business with him. He provided the logo image and I wanted to make sure it was free and clear to me so I can hand it off as I needed to. Is it still your testimony that you created the logo for Dimensions of Disclosure?
It's my testimony that I created the logo for Dimensions of Disclosure 2018. It is my testimony that Rob Counts gave me the logo for Dimensions of Disclosure 2019.
Okay, and then the next paragraph, or the next sentence, I'm sorry, as well At DoD 19, Ben, Rob, and I had discussed a partnership for DoD 2020. So considering those previous conversations I had had with them, I was letting him know why a partnership with them would be unlikely and offered that I may be being sued by Corey for ownership of the DoD mark. Did you say that because you had filed for the trademark without asking Mr. Goode if he wanted to, if he would sign off on that?
What? Can you rephrase the question? I'm not following you.
Sure. So in the next sentence, you state that you told Ben and Rob that you might be being sued by Corey
Huh?
for ownership of the DoD mark. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Was that because you had filed for it without talking to him first?
No, it's because I was being harassed by Liz Laurie.
Going down to the next page that's ending in Bates number 233.
Okay. 33.
Yes.
Next to last page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second paragraph down, it says, as for my personal experience, he has disrespected, slandered, and insulted me and my family. What was your basis for saying that he had slandered you at that point in time?
That was around the hemp grow and what he had to say about my husband and myself around that hemp grow and its failure.
And what was that?
That we were, yeah, I don't remember the specifics actually of what that was, but I do remember that was where that was coming from, especially the insulted me and my family. I believe it was around something that my husband, that he had said about my husband.
Did it have to do with the business deal?
Originally, Mr. Goode, in the very first complaint, Mr. Goode said that Roger Richardson Youngblood had told the Goodes at DoD 19 that the crop had failed, which was completely, just never happened. But what did happen was my husband tried to have a conversation with Corey and Leon about that whole situation. He saw them in the alley, in the foyer of the hotel, and approached them, and he was shunned away by both Leon and Corey. And it was heard that my husband was a liar and that he was here to make excuses. And that is what I'm referring to.
So you believe calling somebody a liar is slander?
I do.
Okay, I want to focus down now at the last page. Can you give me a just brief overview of what this last page is separate from the other pages?
Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of funny, but not really. So a lot of my notes, letters that I write, I take them from my own journals because I journal a lot. I'm a writer. I write a lot. And a lot of this response was created from my journal. And I literally selected all, copied and pasted that letter into my response to Miss Laurie. The last page here, this was actually just part of my diary and my journal that was not supposed to be copied and pasted into this document. I was actually mortified when I found out that that happened, but it happened, and so be it. But it wasn't intended for his eyes. It wasn't intended for anyone's eyes. And it, like I said, it was just me going through the process of what I was experiencing, because I was so dumbfounded and taken aback by the fact that Corey wouldn't just have a conversation with me, and he would send this pit bull of a person at me to have these types of discussions. So that last page, I don't know, it's a karmic shatter. I don't know what it is. It was not meant for anyone else's eyes. It was a mistake to send it.
Okay, I want to focus in on that second paragraph. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th sentence down. It says, I never saw you that way, and I'm sure that upset your chauvinistic sensibilities. When I called out that archetype to Stacy during a private talk between women, it seemed you decided I was no longer a valuable asset, and suddenly there were all kinds of things wrong with me, according to you. Can you give me the context for those two sentences?
Context for everything you just read?
Yes, those two sentences.
Sure. Well, as I've already established, Stacy confided it in me very early in our relationship. And I was actually privy to a lot of background in their marriage and the way things were. And when women talk, they usually talk about things that they don't want their husbands to hear, or their whatever, however that is. But, and I don't need to go into all of that here unless I'm asked to go into all of what conversations existed. But Stacy and I did have a relationship in that way. And in fact, Amy was poured into that as well. So this really was a conversations around women, and this, a women's conversation, and this particular, the chauvinistic sensibilities comment that was made at, I believe it was Disclosure Fest, that why we were all called together. We were all called together, and we were sharing a hotel, an Airbnb in Santa Monica, and Amy and Stacy had just arrived in, and I got a download of all of the drama and trauma that was going on with Amy and the house and the kids and Stacy and all of that. And during that conversation, I said, well, Kate, Stacy, you know your husband is a chauvinist. And everybody, meaning Amy and Stacy, both laughed, and we continued on our conversation. So that's how that happened. How it got passed to Corey is between Stacy and Corey, and how it becomes this big thing. But I do understand that, now I understand that that's not one of his favorite words, and why Stacy would choose to use that to poke at him, I don't know. But it wasn't said out of context or anything. And I definitely, and maybe it was then that, you know, things started dissolving, but it didn't matter, because I was really trying to back away from the group at this point.
Okay, and
I had already seen.
I'm sorry.
I had seen enough by this time.
Okay, and it wasn't in response to any sort of, it wasn't because Mr. Goode ever rejected any advances by you towards him?
I never, ever advanced to Mr. Goode.
You never
That's maybe, I never ever made any advancements to Corey Goode.
You never told him that you were intimate with all of your gurus?
That was not a comment that I made specifically to him. And if Mr. Goode believed that he was a guru that I was referring to in that comment, again, that reflects on his self-interpretation. I say that to many people who have have any kind of conversation with me. When you talk about a life, I've had many spiritual teachers. I've had many different relationships with spiritual teachers, and I've had those discussions quite openly with anyone. And so the fact that Mr. Goode thought that meant him, to me, is just a reflection of his narcissism.
So you don't recall him responding that he wasn't a guru?
I don't even recall having the conversation. I
Okay.
just don't doubt that I'm sure I said that, but I don't remember having that conversation at all.
Okay, and you don't recall saying you'd have been tripping all over yourself 20 years ago?
I say that all the time. I'm sure I said that. I say that to everybody. That's not a past. You would have been tripping yourself over 20 or 30, 40 years ago. So that's not, any attractive woman who's reaching 60 is definitely going to bring up an idea that, hey, 20, 30, 40, those were good years, weren't they?
I want to go back really quick to talk about DOD 2018. Do you know who Sam Osmanagich is?
Repeat the name.
Sam Osmanagich.
Osmanagovich? Yes, I am very aware of Sam Osmanagovich.
Okay. Mr. Roach, can we pull up plaintiff's exhibit 5, please? Bates number GES_Richard_00000109. And we're going to go down to, well, 1 second. Yes, we're going to scroll down to the page ending in Bates number 111. And I want to focus on that, the beginning of that email, because it goes in reverse order. Do you see Saturday, August 11th of 2018?
Uh-huh.
Is that an email from you to Dr. Sam Osmanagich?
Osmanagovich. Uh-huh.
I'm gonna call him Dr. O, because that's
Okay. I think
so this is the heads up email that DOD 18 was about 6 days away, correct?
apparently.
Okay. And who is Dr. O?
He's an archaeologist who discovered the Bosnia pyramids.
And then I'd like to scroll up to the page ending in 110, in Bates number 110. And can you just read aloud for the record from hello, Roger and Adrienne, through spiritual and healing features?
Okay. Hello, Roger and Adrienne. I have a little request for you. I'd like to invite Corey Goode and David Wilcock to Bosnia Pyramid site this summer. I want to show them the most active archaeological site in the world, introduce them to our archaeologists, geologists, engineers, and volunteers. It will be opportunity for them to experience an ancient pyramid energy machine with significant spiritual and healing features. Also, we have the most beautiful energy park in Southern Europe, maintained by our nonprofit foundation, La La. Once they see the site, they would want to do a presentation in our conference room in that park, capacity 200, this time or next. We would pay for the air tickets and accommodation. Possible dates are, if you can assist me, since I don't have their direct email contact, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like the dates are for July, August, and September of 2019, correct?
Uh-huh.
And that would have been around the time that DOD 19 was happening, correct?
Sure.
Okay, and I want to scroll all the way down to the last page, ending in Bates number 113. Do you see in your signature line, what is your title in that signature line?
Directive Events Producer, Good Media Publishing, GMP Production.
Thank you. Okay, so it's possible that Mr. Goods handed over the reins to DOD 19 because he was planning these sorts of events that would further bolster people that would show up at them, correct?
Objection, foundation, speculation.
You may answer.
Can you say that again?
Sure. So Dr. O invited Mr. Good to participate in an event that would have been during the planning and execution of DOD 19. So that would have had him out of the country in Sarajevo during DOD 19, correct?
I guess so, yeah.
So, and he was out there in order to make connections that would actually bring more people to these DOD 19 event, or DOD events, correct?
I can't speak to why he was there.
But you don't dispute that being able to go overseas with somebody like Dr. O and working with him would actually bring more attendees where he would be speaking.
Objection, speculation, foundation.
If he goes and talks and does a conference, I'm at, and that's just for his, I'm sorry, I'm just not understanding the question.
So Dr. O said he had a good time at DOD 18, correct?
Correct.
And he invited Mr. Good to go overseas to some special archaeological sites with him the following year, correct?
Right.
And he would have met other people in the community while over there that would likely come back over to the DOD events, correct?
Objection, calls for speculation,
I have no idea.
foundation. Yeah.
Bosnia,
But
a
Dr.
long
O,
way to go.
right, but Dr. O came from Bosnia, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to plannings exhibit number 6.
What is that?
It's ending in Bates number GES Richards 0000252.
Okay.
Do you recognize this document?
This looks like a version of the website for Dimensions of Disclosure 2019.
Okay. Do you know what the Wayback Machine is?
I do.
Okay, so I'll represent to you that this is, and you can see it says. Well, I thought it would say Wayback, maybe it doesn't, but I'll represent to you that this is a grab from the Wayback Machine. We weren't able to actually access Dimensions of Disclosure anymore.
Right.
I want to focus your attention down on the second page, which is ending in Bates number 253.
Okay.
And in the middle of the page, do you see where it says conference tickets sold out?
Yeah.
That was what we were talking about earlier, correct? So it says conference tickets sold out.
Yeah.
But they weren't actually sold
Live.
out.
No.
Okay. And then I want to scroll down to the next page, ending in Bates number 254. I'm sorry, down to the one after that, 255.
Uh-huh.
So, and then looking at the page ending in Bates number 255 and 256, what are the first two names on the list of attendees?
David Wilcock and Corey Goode.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I want to go now to plaintiff's exhibit number 7.
Okay.
Do you recognize this document?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, oh, this is Edge of Wonder. Uh-huh, yes.
And what
Yeah.
is it?
This is a contract between Full Disclosure Collaborative and the Edge of Wonder to be the hosts for Dimensions of Disclosure 2019.
Okay. I want to focus your attention down on page ending in Bates number 5077, where it says agreed and accepted. What are those two?
Uh-huh.
What are those two signatures right there?
That would be the producer, Edge of Wonder, Sun Lee, and the conference organizer, Full Disclosure Collaborative, Adrienne Youngblood.
Okay. So in 2019, your title of the DoD conference was conference organizer, and in 2018, we saw that it was director of events. Do you recall that on one of the previous documents?
Sure, I recall the previous document, and yeah, I call myself a lot of things on these contracts, and they're all accurate.
Okay, but none of them say owner, correct?
No, not in this case.
So what happened to the domain dimensionsofdisclosure.com?
As far as I know, it's still up there. I don't know.
We checked yesterday and it was up for purchase. Are you still, do you believe you're still
Up for
on?
purchase? It might be up for purchase, but it shouldn't be up for purchase.
Should it still be active?
I haven't been tracking it lately, so it may have expired. I haven't redone anything to it. I honestly, I'm not sure.
Do you intend to continue promoting dimensions of disclosure?
I don't promote Dimensions of Disclosure.
So you've decided that you're not going to make it a viable company?
I haven't any decisions one way or another.
Okay.
After 2019, we had COVID, and if you were an event person, you were pretty much out of work, unless you had a live stream company moving along, or the seeds of it.
But nothing has been done with dimensions of disclosure since 2019, correct?
Correct.
Not with the website or with the trademark?
Correct.
Okay. I'd like to pull up plaintiff's exhibit number 9. And I'm
Okay.
sorry, just for the record, we pulled this up on oh no, we didn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's pull up Plans Exhibit number 8.
Okay, I have it in front of me.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And what is it?
Articles of Incorporation for Full Disclosure Collaborative,
And the file date on that was,
April 2nd, 2019.
thank you. Okay, now we'll pull up Plans Exhibit number 9. Do you recognize this document?
Sure.
And what is it?
It is a basic report letter to Corey, letting him know kind of a wrap up and why I was sending him $11,789.
Okay, and the date on this is September 22nd, 2019, correct? And the application for the dimensions of disclosure trademark was paid and filed on September 5th of 2019, correct?
Correct.
Did you let Mr. Goode know in any way at this point in time that you had filed for the trademark dimensions of disclosure?
No, no.
Were there any online workshop sales that came out of dimensions of disclosure?
No.
Okay.
Not through me. I just let me say, I gave all the speakers their workshops. So if they decided to take their workshops and do something with them, that was their decision. But I don't think any of them did. I just wanted to make that clarification.
Okay. Let's pull up plaintiff's exhibit number 14 really quick.
Hey there, I'm sitting in for Bill. I do not have a 14 here. I have 10 and 11 and it stops there.
Oh, I'm sorry. So there were a few that didn't have exhibit numbers on there. The
Okay.
title, yes, sorry about that. The title is Gmail
Okay,
FW_ your DOD talk.
there it is. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you. No problem.
If we could mark that as exhibit number 14, please.
Sure.
I'll send you an email afterwards.
You're fine. Great. Thanks.
Thank you. So is this what you mean when you're talking about the workshops? Was it just the recording of?
No, the talks from the live stream playback content have been released to the individual speakers and on a YouTube channel. No, that was their talks. The talks that they did on the main stage. They were released to the speakers so they could do whatever they wanted with them, and it was put on a YouTube channel so that people could see them for free. And I was letting Corey know that I wasn't using his because he didn't sign a release and I didn't have legal permission to do that, so I didn't. And then I gave him the links to his talks so that he could do anything he wanted with them that he chose to do with them, just like I gave to the other speakers.
Okay. And was
Who
it
did
just
sign a release?
okay? Was it just Mr. Goode's talk that wasn't posted?
No, Sasha Stone asked that his not be posted, and I did not post David Wilcock because I didn't think it had any value, and I planned on doing something with the workshops, but then Mr. Goode sent Liz Laurie to me, and I stopped any plans whatsoever.
Okay. Okay, I want to, now we're gonna pull up what I've marked as plaintiff's exhibit number 1, which is actually a YouTube. It's been produced. It's just not something that I don't think everybody can access remotely right now. Okay, perfect.
Let me know. You ready to play this? This is, or do we want to go anywhere in particular? This is a 1 hour and 49:10. You can see.
Right, yes. So if we could start at 21:20, please, Mr. Roach.
Okay.
We are back. Absolutely, 100%
And
real.
then comes, so then of course comes the event that we're going to do, the big event that we're going to do in August. We can't call it Eclipse of Disclosure because it's not going to be
Yeah,
a
no.
eclipse. And so I came up with the name Dimensions of Disclosure, and just said, yep, and got moving on that, went and found the venue. And
All right, and this was in the Loveland,
Loveland,
Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah. Key
Loveland,
event for those
Colorado.
of us. Yeah, absolutely. Go on.
And I put together that entire event, and the lawsuit says that Corey had something to do with the infrastructure. If watching counts, then perhaps he did. But
Okay, well, we can
Hold
pause
on
right
there.
Mr.
I think
Roach.
that's something that will need to be stated because people need to know this.
Oh.
When we talk about the putting together, when we talk about, the structuring and the
Can we pause it,
building of
please?
this sphere, the literal sphere being alliance here on the
Did you ask me to pause it?
Yes, please. Sorry, I'll try to yell. I know it's I'm losing my voice a little bit. Okay, so it's your testimony as you sit here today that you came up with the name Dimensions of Disclosure, and you put together the entire event that is in alignment with this video, correct?
Yeah, although Roger was also a part of doing that.
And let me back up just a second. Do you recognize this video?
Yeah.
And what is it?
Cosmic Redemption, that was the interview with Matthew Mornian.
Okay. And this came out in December of 2020, correct?
Apparently.
Okay. And Mr. Goode did show up to this event, and he did speak at this event, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I want to skip ahead, Mr. Roach, to 2620. And and it won't be it won't be a really long clip. It'll just be whenever the gentleman starts talking again.
I should do that. It's as a reward. I went to Telluride to check out Telluride to see if maybe we might want to have an event there the following year. Other than that, no bonuses. And but I wasn't expecting any. That was not why I was there. So it was never a question.
No. Thank you for saying that. I think that what we are demonstrating over the course of this project,
Okay,
when
we can stop right
look
there.
at the
Ms.
phenomenon.
Roach. Thank you. So, Ms. Youngblood, you did actually make quite a bit of money off of the Dimensions of Disclosure conference, correct?
I made money off of Dimensions of Disclosure 2019. This statement was referring to Dimensions of Disclosure 2018. I recognize the comment because I mentioned Telluride, and that is where I went after DOD 2018. I did not make money off of DOD 2018. And yes, I did make about $50,000 for DOD 2018. 19
Okay, thank you.
for about 10 months of work, I might add. I think that's probably kind of an average income.
Okay, and Mr. Roach, if we can play please from 28:30 to about probably 29:15.
Believed in. And what it feels like to me, as I'm watching and seeing the unfoldment of this, and as I believe other people will see the unfoldment of this, is that people's energy was harvested. It was almost like as if this key network of individuals with these
I'm
certain
sorry.
skills,
Mr.
certain
Roach, can
specific
we
abilities
back
were
up a
brought in.
minute? I think I got the wrong timestamp.
We can. Where would you like to go to?
Let's go to 28. Let's go to 28:05.
Okay.
Sequestered, more and more separate, more and more seen through the public eye as the focal point of a movement. And yet we see in the background, it was entirely separate individuals actually putting the entire thing together. And so I think it needs to be stated for the record, Adrienne, that you really didn't make any money off of this. This was something that you were passionate about, that you believed in. And what
Okay, we
it
can
feels
stop
like
there,
to
Mr.
me, as
Thank you. So, Ms. Youngblood, this is what individuals are taking away, right? That you didn't make any money, but you did actually make some money off of this.
This was referring to DOD 2018, where I did not receive any compensation as far as percentages or anything like that. I don't even know I didn't even have anything to do with the money. That is what this was referring to in that comment.
Okay, and then Mr. Roach, if we can skip ahead to 59:30.
It was really a huge success in that regard. And Corey saw the success, of course. And actually, after Dimensions of Disclosure 2019, I have not spoken to him since. It was in September. I got a call from his then legal representation, was Liz Laurie, and I got a call from her, and she wanted to know why I trademarked Dimensions of Disclosure and why I thought that I owned Dimensions of Disclosure, and all these questions coming out of the blue. And I was shocked. I was hurt. Why doesn't Corey just call me and ask me himself? Like, what is this all about?
yeah.
And
You can stop right there, Mr. Roach.
I told.
Thank you. So that was the first time that Mr. Goode found out that Dimensions of Disclosure was trademarked, was whenever his legal representation had found out about it. He never found out from me.
Objection, foundation, speculation as phrased.
Did Mr. Goode find out about the trademarking of Dimensions of Disclosure from you?
Objection, foundation calls for speculation.
You may ask, you may answer.
You can answer.
I don't think he found out from me.
You never told him though, did
I
you?
didn't tell him. No, I didn't tell him.
Okay.
No.
Okay, and then Mr. Roach, if we can go at 101:40. And we'll go until
Ownership coming in, right? What
Right.
happened? Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's not why I trademarked it, but it honestly isn't why I trademarked it. I trademarked it to protect the entity, not from Corey. Let me say, I trademarked it to protect it from the consequences of Corey's actions and his nefarious undercurrent things that could come and sabotage the things that I had put so much hard work into. And so that was why I really tidied up the business end of this entity to make sure that I was protected, my investment was protected, and the entity itself was protected so that it could move on.
Okay. we can
Now,
stop right there.
it was,
Thank you, Mr. Roach. So, when you filed for the trademark and you were trying to protect the business, why not just go to Mr. Goode and tell him, hey, look, we need to do this together?
Mr. Goode was not, he was not involved in those kinds of decisions at that time. That was in the beginning of this venture when I booked David Icke. David Icke was the reason that I felt the need to protect the entity from Corey's behavior. And as it turns out, I lost David Icke because of Corey's behavior, be it however that occurred. But because of Corey's behavior, I lost David Icke. So I think I was probably sensing that on a good hunch, that there may be some stuff that goes on in the background, because honestly, there was a lot of social media nonsense going on, and Corey was right in the middle of it. There was a lot of accusations around the doxing. I didn't know if Corey was a part of the doxing or not. I had no idea. I heard a lot of rumors coming from a lot of different places, and I didn't know actually who Corey really was at this point. So I had already been stepping away from my relationship with the group and with Corey based on Corey's practices and his reputation and what was happening in his world. So I was protecting the entity from all of that because there was a lot of nefarious things going on in the undercurrents of the cyber world. And I didn't know anything about that. That wasn't my forte. I just knew this was my entity. I just signed my life away. I was taking full financial responsibility for this conference. That was all on me. Had that conference gone bankrupt, Corey would have turned and ran away from it so fast, I would certainly not be sitting here. And that was absolutely a possibility because of what was happening. I lost David Icke, and I had to beg David Wilcox to take David Icke's place as a headliner, because Corey Goode cannot carry a conference of that size as a headliner on his own. He just can't. That's why he hasn't.
And I think your testimony earlier was that you were out of pocket $10,000 for the DoD 19 conference. Is that correct?
Probably. I mean, I obviously got paid back.
Okay, and it's possible that David Icke punched out of the conference because of all the drama going on, not necessarily because of Mr. Goode, correct?
No, I have a letter from Jay Widener that specifically states that he called that Jay Widener called David Icke and had a conversation and told him about Corey Goode, that Corey Goode is doxing people and he doesn't want to be involved in Corey Goode and he needs to step away because Corey Goode would be involved in this conference as a speaker and David Icke should not get involved, and therefore he did.
So it was
Jamie, his son, that decision.
So it was because of something that
Yeah,
Mr.
I need the last part of the answer there.
Sorry.
I don't know what I said.
His son made the decision.
Jamie, his son, made the decision. He's his business manager.
Okay, based on something that Mr. Widener said, correct?
Objection calls for speculation foundation.
As far as I know.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Roach, can we go to a minute and 32 and 30, please? And this will be our last very short clip.
I had built it, and I really just went, okay, I don't know how that's going to turn out, but that's done. But my mission is still going. You know, it was not built on Corey Goode. And I said that first, and I say that last, and I say that now. Mine is to keep moving, to keep in the disclosure movement. And, you know, we just released a movie, 1,000 Pieces, 1000pieces.com. And it has Joe Flynn and Kathy O'Brien, Robin Gritz, John D'Souza, Robert David Steele, and it really is about the FBI and the CIA corruption. And we're having a hard time because it's being censored everywhere. And we've got a bunch of documentaries coming out because we
Okay, that's good.
are
Thank you,
creating
Ms. Roach.
people in.
Okay, Ms. Youngblood, that movie, 1,000 Pieces, is one of the movies that you were producer on, correct?
Yeah.
And you testified earlier that there were 2,700 views of this video, correct?
Yeah.
So 2,700 people just got a plug for the movie that you produced, 1,000 Pieces, correct?
I guess so.
Okay, we're almost done here, I think. Where are we at on time, Madam Court Reporter?
That's probably me.
Oh, sorry. you can-
It's okay. So 1:33 to 5. So let's see. We're at about 6 hours and 5 minutes,
Okay, perfect.
roughly.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to pull up plaintiff's exhibit number 11, please.
And you're gonna send me these ones that weren't sent before, or, because you played a couple things today and you showed some documents that weren't produced over. So
The
we did
only-
get 11, but
Yeah, there only should be 2 that weren't print outable, and that would be plaintiff's exhibit number 1, which is what we were just watching. And I dropped the YouTube link in there. I'll send the Bates numbered file. I think it's actually I can tell you exactly what it is. Hold on one second. The plaintiff's exhibit number 1 is Bates numbered GES _Richards _0000006. And that was in our first production.
thank you.
And I believe you guys produced it yesterday evening as well, I think. I haven't been able to look yet. Okay.
We have exhibit.
Okay. I want to focus. Let's see, down to page number 10 of the initial disclosures under computation of damages. And specifically focusing in on that second paragraph under response. That first 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences. Can you please read that aloud for the record?
I'm actually not sure. Can you just start the sentence for me? Because I'm not sure where you are.
Sure.
Start
It's
on line 13.
Oh, line 13?
yes.
Oh, they have lines. Defendant Adrienne Youngblood has suffered significant monetary damages due to plaintiff's conduct with respect to the dimensions of disclosure event for 2019. Defendant Adrienne Youngblood asserts that a direct result of plaintiff's conduct, defendant Adrienne Youngblood lost live stream and live stream playback revenue, revenue from ticket sales, revenue from licensing content, revenue from online workshop sales, and revenue from further development of an online network on the established platform. Defendant Adrienne Youngblood estimates these damages to total above $1 million. Further, due to plaintiff's improper claim of ownership of Dimensions of Disclosure, defendant Adrienne Youngblood was unable to host Dimensions of Disclosure 2020 and lost an estimated $1 million in revenues thereto. Plaintiff's continued and improper claim of ownership of Dimensions of Disclosure further causes defendant Adrienne Youngblood ongoing damages. Additionally, defendant Adrienne Youngblood has suffered emotional distress, pain, and suffering caused by plaintiffs that have caused damages presently estimated to total $50,000.
Thank you. So we'll take those one at a time. Do you recall, I know this was a while ago now, but do you recall when we had to put together these damages numbers?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't really recall it, but we can go forward. I don't really, but ask me what you need to ask me.
So, the first grouping there well, I guess I'll just to address it, because it has been 2.5 years. Are you seeking damages in this action?
Are you asking me a question? Am I seeking damages?
Yes, monetary damages.
Objection form, you answer.
I don't know how to answer that.
Are you hoping to get money out of this lawsuit?
No.
Same objection.
Okay. Okay. Do you recall how much revenue DoD 19 brought in from live stream and live stream playback revenue?
I remember the total profit. I don't remember the live stream revenue.
Okay, and what was that total profit?
About $50,000. I mean, I think it's even a letter over here.
Okay, and that included live stream playback, ticket sales, and licensing content?
Everything. Remember, the live stream is why this conference didn't go into the red. You can't pay speakers like David Wilcox out of ticket sales on 700 tickets. The live stream was pretty much what made sure that the bills got paid.
Okay, and do you and you don't recall how much that was at this point in time?
There is, I put in probably 3 times in our discovery here, the numbers that DoD 2019 did. They're not at my fingertips, but they are in there, and I've seen I accidentally uploaded it several times.
Okay, And I believe it was your testimony earlier that you did not hold a DOD 20 because of COVID. Is that correct?
Did not hold a live event of DOD 2020 because of COVID, but because I was being sued by Corey Goode.
Okay, so that's in addition to your earlier testimony.
Well, yes, I mean, when you're being sued by somebody, why poke the bear?
Okay. Okay, and you're not asserting damages for emotional distress, pain, or suffering in this action?
Objection, vaguest form, objection is the form. Improper question, you can answer. And misstates the document.
It's nothing I've decided upon. I don't think there is a monetary amount. But I could be. I said that I would be.
Okay. All right, let's take a quick 10-minute break. Let me look through my notes. Is that okay?
Let's finish this. Do you have any other questions?
I need to look through my notes. We'll take a 10-minute break.
How about let's do 5? Because I don't want to sit around here and charge my clients for you to look through your notes. If you don't have any more questions, so I'll give you 5. Okay.
We have seven hours here today, Mr. Webb. So.
I understand, but I'm not going to sit here while you.
And you've taken quite a bit of time up with all sorts of stuff. So
if you don't have any more questions, we're going to end the deposition, or we take 5 and we'll agree to come back on in 5. Which one do you choose?
We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Okay, we won't be here in 10. We'll be here in 5, and if you're not here, we're signing off.
Mr.
Okay,
Webb.
'cause I'm not going to.
So you're going to disagree to a 10-minute break, but we have taken 3 breaks this entire time.
For you to look at your notes, yes. If you have any more questions for my client, please ask them.
Okay.
I'll give you 5. Courtesy of 5.
You know,
want 5
Mr.
minutes?
Webb, your office turned over documents at 6 o'clock yesterday, and that was way less than 24 hours in advance of this deposition. So if you want to give me the time to look over what you turned over yesterday, then you can do that and we can be back in 10 minutes. Or we can call you back at a deposition at your expense because you late turned over documents.
We'll be here in 5. You want to ask us any other questions, ask now or in 5 minutes. I'm not going to sit here while you look through your notes.
You know, we'll see you whenever I get back. I will be within 10 minutes. You have my word.
If you're not here in 5, we'll be off.
Okay, going off the video, the time is now 3:45 p.m. Okay, we're back on the record, and the time is approximately 3:54 p.m. You may proceed.
All right, Ms. Youngblood, we have not discussed yet the WhatsApp chats that were set up for the SBA team. Do you recall WhatsApp chats?
Yes. No. For the SBA team, no.
Which team were you thinking of?
Well, I wasn't a part of an SBA WhatsApp chat.
Okay, were you in an SBA chat with Mr. Goode?
I was in a Dimensions of Disclosure chat.
Did you set up?
And Mr. Goode was there. Mr.
Okay.
Goode was there.
Did you set up that chat?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
And what happened to that chat?
I don't know. They changed the name. at the end. And I'm really, the WhatsApp stuff has, when you get new phones, something I didn't know about WhatsApp. Anything that I had from WhatsApp was really early, collected really early in this. I didn't know that when you switch phones or computers, that your history doesn't come with. So I've had 2 phones since then, and I don't know what happened to the WhatsApp stuff. I actually was rather sad about it.
Okay. And were you the one that set up the group?
Yeah,
Have
I
you,
think so. I would have been the one to set it up.
do you have any of your old phones?
No, unfortunately, I keep phones until they really, really die.
Okay.
I mean, I have one, and if you got it working, I would be really, really happy because it's got some photographs in there I would love to have. But
Okay. And who told you that the WhatsApp chat does not move with the phone?
I can't. I don't need to be told. I go on to my WhatsApp, and it's not there, and it hasn't been there for a while.
Okay. Are you logged into WhatsApp on your computers?
On my computer, yes, I can get to WhatsApp on my computer.
And does it disappear between your computer and your phone?
No, the WhatsApp is just a regular WhatsApp, and it's the same on my phone. But anything that was before I got a new phone is not accessible. And I'm only making that connection because when I went back to go to WhatsApp to see if I could find and go through anything else that might have been important, it wasn't there anymore. So anything that I collected for this that came from WhatsApp happened very early in this suit, in this lawsuit that started, 2 years ago? Or, yeah, 2 years ago.
Okay. Have you discussed the fact that these WhatsApp chats are not moving onto your phone with anybody else that was part of the chat?
No,
Who else would have been part of the chat besides Mr. Goode?
probably, let's see, I know Simon Essler was in there. Kaylin was in there. Might get up there.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing the audio. I'm getting somebody typing.
Okay.
I have Kaylin. Kaylin was in there. And then whatever you
Okay,
said
that's
after
about
that.
all. That's pretty much all I said.
Oh, okay.
Could have been, I think Ben and Rob might have been in there. And I think that's it. I mean, there may have been more, but that's all I can remember.
What about Telegram?
Yeah, I have Telegram. I didn't have any groups though on Telegram.
You don't have any groups with Mr. Goode on Telegram?
I'm sorry, did you answer? I'm sorry.
No, I do not have any groups on Telegram with Mr. Goode.
So you had Slack and WhatsApp and text messages, correct?
Yeah. Slack, WhatsApp, and text messages, yes.
Was
Not the Slack is more either.
The Slack isn't.
The Slack is not there anymore either.
Thank you.
Was Mr. Richards in any of the WhatsApp groups with you and Mr. Good?
No, he wasn't.
So it's your testimony as you sit here today that you did not delete any WhatsApp or Slack chats with Mr. Good in them?
No.
Have you contacted WhatsApp to see if you can get those?
No,
Okay,
I haven't. I haven't seen the need.
you haven't seen any what? I'm sorry.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so if you were in chats with just Mr. Good and Mr. Richards wasn't in there, then there were times that you did have direct contact with Mr. Good, correct?
Between just Mr. Good and I, yes, but that's not a group in my mind. That is just me talking to Corey, Corey talking to me.
Without a proxy, correct?
Correct.
So I believe it was your testimony earlier that you usually had to go through a proxy to talk to Mr. Good. Is that correct?
In the beginning, yeah. In the beginning, I think I made that pretty clear that that was what was happening in the beginning of the relationship, yes. Over the course of our relationship, I definitely could have conversation with Corey about whatever he wanted to discuss. However, he didn't have those types of discussions with me usually, and if they were any kind of business questions or anything that had a lot of details, he would refer to, first it was Roger Richards, then it was Leon Kennedy, then it was Liz Laurie. That was what on those, and then Liz came at the very end, and he didn't refer me to her. She was presented to me, but it was usually conversations that were of a business negotiation or anything like that, like his speaker fee for DOD 2019. I mean, I asked him several times, what are we talking about here? And it wasn't until August that Leon Kennedy actually negotiated his speaker fee. So then I got my answer. My answer of what Corey needed as a speaker fee for DOD 2019. However, I asked him several times myself, and he didn't answer those questions, but that didn't surprise me because, like I said, when it came to those types of financial or business conversations, I was used to Corey defaulting to whoever was the current proxy.
At that point in time, wasn't Mr. Kennedy his type of manager? Most of the business.
From my understanding.
From my understanding.
Yes. From my understanding, yes.
Thank you.
Wasn't there a point where your farm was actually going to be foreclosed on?
No, I mean, we go through that often. You know, we don't get paid every month. So sometimes we pay every 2 months or 3 months. You get the letter. It says, here's what you owe. We pay that amount and we move on to the next 3 or 4 month payment. That's just the way our finances work at our house. And so I don't know where this idea came in that Corey said in his deposition about his reasons for the DOD thing. I have no idea where that came from.
So didn't he give up his percentage in DOD so that he could save your farm?
No,
Objection, calls for speculation, foundation as to why he did what he did.
and I'll say unequivocally no.
So you never wrote in an email that you were about to.
Absolutely not. Sorry.
Did you say that? I got that's not. Is there
No,
more to the answer?
I said no.
I think your audio is cutting out at the beginning of when you're speaking. I'm not sure why.
Okay, I'll give more time. Maybe that's
Yeah,
what
and
is needed.
if Ms. Yanneros can turn off the phone that's dinging with the messages coming in, maybe you could silence your phone.
There's no phone that's on with messages coming in.
So somebody has a phone that's dinging with messages coming in, and if that's my client, I'll ask my client to turn it off or to mute his line. But somebody's phone is ringing, so.
Okay, Ms. Youngblood, we received production from your attorneys yesterday evening, at 6:35 PM. Were these documents that you turned over?
I doubt it. I was done turning over documents a couple days ago.
Okay. Mr. Roach, can I share my screen really quick, please?
Yes, you can. You're still active for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Mr. Roach and Miss Elliott, I'm gonna mark this as plaintiff's exhibit number 15, and I'll send these over to you guys. My one chance, and we've got these documents late last night, so.
I turned it before last night.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I turned this in before last night.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Bates numbered, I think it's supposed to be Youngblood, but it says Youngblood 7236. Do you recognize this document, Ms. Youngblood?
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
It's a chat from Telegram between Corey and myself.
Okay, and is it, I'm not familiar with this kind of an interface. Is it read going from top down?
Yes,
Okay,
you can see by the time. Oh, no, you can't. Oh, yeah, you can. Yes, you can. You can see by the time stamp, right? Yeah. 12, 13, 7, yeah.
so the top would be 30th of March 2019, correct?
Possibly. It might have been a couple days before that, you know,
Okay,
would have
Do you-
been the last time I talked.
sorry, go ahead. So can you tell me what's going on here? I mean, we don't have any messages before or after.
Well, why, I'm not sure why you brought it up, what questions you want to ask me about it, but I can tell you that this is one of the places where I asked Corey about a percentage, where I say I am happy to offer a percentage of the profits, of course. I feel that it's appropriate, most appropriate. All of this is rather new. I'm offering David Icke a percentage. And if David Icke says no, I'm going to David second and we'll offer him a percentage too. This moment, the word profits is a question mark. but I think the live stream participants will be much better this year than previous years. So, So this is where I'm basically, and his response is, let me think on that. And he never thought on that as far as that was concerned. Or I never got, yeah.
Okay. And this was, if you look down at the bottom, I believe this message is from you. It says, I've been thinking about Bosnia. I really think we should do it.
Yep.
And this is, right. And so this is in response to that email that we read earlier, correct, with Dr. O?
Correct.
Okay. Where it says, and then I think this is a bunch of words that are put together. If I can create a speaker event there as well, just a day night with you and David and live stream it as well, that would offset it a little. But I'm down to do what I can to contribute my energy, and certainly some of it, what comes from DoD can be used. Is that in regards to an event at the same time as DoD, or is it
No, you saw that he offered 3 dates, that Dr. Osmanagovich offered 3 dates in 2019 for them coming, David Wilcock and Corey, to come down there and do that. There was some discussion after that. It was clear that time didn't really work. And there was discussion about what other times could work. So that was not, it was just being discussed back and forth around, like I said, he threw out those 3 dates, but those were just the dates that he threw out. And when those dates didn't, they didn't fit into the schedule of what David and Corey were doing at that time, then there were new dates that were mentioned, maybe even doing it in 2020. There was all kinds of things tossed around about that. But just the fact of the commitment that we should do it, so it was for me to get the conversation going with Dr. Osman, to get the dates, to get this event going in that way. And there was also discussion about my husband has a GPR, ground penetrating radar. It's part of what he does for a living. And we were going to bring the GPR to Bosnia, and Corey was very excited about that. Again, we were just going to do that with no monetary expectation. We just knew that a GPR in Bosnia by the pyramids would have been fantastic.
Okay, and a GPR, does that create images or just vibrations?
A ground penetrating radar sees into the earth up to 100 feet and then on, depending on the size of your antenna. And it finds anomalies in the ground.
Okay. So was this ever pitched to Dr. O?
Yeah, it was.
And-
He
and
loved
what?
the idea.
Okay.
He thought it was great.
And so what happened with that?
It wasn't pursued. I didn't get the green light to pursue it.
And who would have given you the green light?
Leon, Roger, Corey.
Okay. Okay, I want to look at a couple other text messages that were just turned over. Okay, do you recognize this text message?
Yeah.
Do you recall what date this is from?
No, I can probably find that out. I didn't even realize that these things didn't have dates on them, but no, I don't remember what date it was. We're talking about hemp and CBD though, so it was, you know, obviously before April.
Okay. Where it says very good test indeed, so far you have organized events that are the making other event organizers nervous. I expect this one will be very cool. Is that in regards to DOD?
That was in regard to DOD 19.
Okay. And the beach experience, what was that in regards to?
I chose to do Dimensions of Disclosure 2019 in Ventura, where I raised my children, because I knew the area. So the beach experience was now where Dimensions of Disclosure was going to go. Dimensions of Disclosure didn't really have a solid branding on the kind of conference that it was, as far as venue. And so it's going to be a very different conference on the beach in Ventura.
Okay. And you can get us the date that's on this. This will be,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna mark it as plaintiff's exhibit 16. And this is Bates numbered Youngblood 7235. All right, do you recognize this text message string?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this is 1st of April 2019.
Yeah.
So David Icke said that he would come to DOD 2019 on April 1st of 2019. When was it that he said that he was not going to be in attendance?
I don't know, about 3 weeks later. There is definitely evidence in there too, that the letter that that Jamie Icke sent me, saying declining. I don't remember the date though. It was about 3 weeks later.
Okay, this is what I'm going to mark as plaintiff's exhibit 17. Case numbered Youngblood 7234.
I think I even put the email in there from David Icke accepting the invitation.
Okay.
If you need a more accurate date.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. I'll mark this as plaintiff's exhibit number 18. This is Bates numbered starting with Youngblood 7232 and ending in 7233. Do you recognize this text message string?
Yep. Yep, I do. This is basically when Leon had said that SBA didn't have the resources, and he wanted brakes put on and everything. He felt it was too much of a risk for SBA to take without a headliner. And they didn't have the resources, again, to go out on a limb and make that happen. And so this is where he calls a halt to it and wants to have a meeting about it. And I'm letting Corey know that, and that's the situation, and we're going to have a meeting about that, which we did have a meeting about it, and the decision was made that doing DOD would be declined by SBA.
Okay.
Then it goes on to talk about someone that Corey wanted a contact from me.
Is this a different? Oh, this is just a continuation of the same one.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, it goes into, yeah, it does. It goes into, yeah, doesn't think that it'll fly without the command of a strong headliner, because we didn't have a strong headliner that confirmed yet. And yeah, and that was too much of a risk. And it is a risk. It's a risk, absolutely. And then we talked about, obviously, we talked about this gentleman, Brian Forrester, and we knew Brian Forrester because we were going to do GPR work with him in the same method that we were going to do it with Dr. Osmanagovich and Graham Hancock, for that matter. GPR is often used for this kind of forensic research. So we were talking to Brian Forrester about that as well, and Corey wanted Brian Forrester's contact information and thought we should invite him to the conference, but I declined inviting him to the conference. He wasn't appropriate for this one.
Okay. Okay. I'll mark this one as plaintiff's exhibit 19. This is Bates numbered Youngblood 7231. Do you recognize this document?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to, I don't think there's a way to move it. Okay, and what is this?
It's a conversation between Corey Goode and Jimmy Church that Corey shared with me. And it was basically emphasizing the nonsense that was going on and around April 11th, 2019, where there was, again, the doxing and the infighting and Jimmy Church and the accusations around Corey and the doxing and being blacklisted, and Corey bringing in Jimmy Church, as you can see, and Jimmy Church is saying, please just leave me out of your texts. I just don't even want to be associated. And that's the conversation. For me, it was just more to emphasize that there was a lot of shenanigans going on in 2019 around Corey and his behavior with a lot of people. It was tough to navigate.
Okay,
Oh yeah, that has the name of the.
Have we labeled it?
Hmm?
We those labels.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Sure, I said we give the file names those labels.
oh yeah, I'll give you guys the documents, the file names, the labels, then I'll make it all, this will all be in one email so that everybody can have it. Okay, so this is gonna be plaintiff's exhibit 20.
We have about 10 more minutes, counsel.
Okay. Thank you. And the Bates number is Youngblood 7229. Okay, do you recognize this document?
Yep.
And what is this?
It is a letter from the ranch hand, Devin Cremidas, who lived with us for a while, who worked on the hemp plants and was there for the whole thing. He was basically explaining his experience.
Was he in the video that we looked at earlier?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, and so this was sent
Just recently.
a week ago.
Yeah.
And is he the expert that you were, one of the experts you were talking about earlier that you tried to reach out to?
No, not at all. He's a work trade person. No.
Okay. And do you know where he's located now?
I believe somewhere in Arizona.
Okay, there was one more document I wanted to ask you about. Hmm. Okay, this one here. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll mark this as plaintiff's exhibit number 21. It is Bates numbered Youngblood 8486. Through 8490. And what is this that we're looking at?
This is the certificate of analysis that came with the hemp plants. Now, it was definitely dated on January the 8th, but we actually didn't receive it till the end of March. And what it basically tells you is all of everything about the plants that you would need to know. What, the acids, THC, CBDs, that kind of thing.
Okay. And would this have said whether or not there was an issue with the plant when it was delivered, like mold on the plant when it was delivered?
No, it doesn't talk about, well, if there was mold on the plants, they wouldn't have passed.
Okay. All right. Sorry, one more. Do you recognize this document?
Uh-huh.
And what is it?
It's just Corey telling me more about what's going on in the doxing world. He told me things. I wondered why he told me things sometimes. I felt it was a manipulation, but basically he was just telling me that this Rob Vanoy was going to be making a video to respond to somebody else's attack video, Chanter's attack video. Corey was obviously being attacked, and so then he would have someone else attack back. And that's what this was. And this was going on end of March 2019. Again, to emphasize, Corey's behavior was something that you had to navigate if you were promoting anything that had to do with Corey Goode.
Was it Corey Goode's behavior, or was it the way that people were acting towards him? Because that the CW Chanter.
It provokes how people act.
I'm
against
gonna
you.
need you to start your answer over. It's garbled.
I believe behavior provokes how people respond to you.
Thank you.
Okay, and just while I have you here, what are the Mars records?
That is a detailed story by a man named Michael Sells, I believe, that he published, I believe, in 2010. I don't really know exactly when he published them offhand, but it is a lot of story around the secret space program and the Blue Avians, and it was a documented story that came out way before Corey Goode came out with his story.
Okay, and this is the last one, I promise. It's plaintiff's exhibit 23, and it's Youngblood 8482 to 8483. And you recognize this document?
Yes?
And what is it?
When Jamie Ike let me know that David Ike would not be appearing at the conference and he would need to be removed.
Okay, so it was Jamie that made the decision to pull David, not,
Yes, it was Jamie. He was his manager. Still is.
Yeah.
David Ike's manager. Jamie Ike is his son.
okay. All right, I think that those are all the questions I have for today. We'll reserve till trial. I mean, there were a couple of things that you said that you'd be getting back to me on. And we'll send an updated deficiency letter on that. There's one that's outstanding right now.
And Madam Court Reporter, are you going to send the transcript directly to the deponent via email for her to review and provide an errata sheet to you if there's any changes or corrections to the transcript? Is that agreeable?
Typically what we do in Colorado is if a copy isn't ordered, we have the witness come to our office. Obviously, that's not a good idea for this. So I can send her a copy. It wouldn't be one that would be downloadable or savable. She can only view it.
That's perfect. Do you have her email address already, or do you want me to put it in the chat?
If you would, I would appreciate that.
Sure, you bet. I'll just email it to you at office@elliottreporting.com.
Correct. And then Mr. Webb, you do not need a copy?
If you send me an estimate in 2 weeks' time, I'll see if I have authority to spend that kind of money.
Okay. And then are we off the record?
We're not off completely. Usually for orders and things, I stay on at the end. I can edit this though. You can go off the record, I suppose, if you want.
It's really hard
okay.
for me to talk. I cannot write what I'm saying myself. It just, my brain doesn't work.
Okay.
But do we have the copy orders? Are you ordering the original, Ms. Yanez?
Yeah, we'll do an e-trans, please. No paper copies, please.
Sure.
And then on video, I think we spoke about syncing it, Miss Valerie. Yeah. All right, Mr. Webb, do you want a video right now or no?
If you send me an estimate, that's fine, Mr. Roach. Mr. Roach, were you recording my face or my screen during the deposition as well as the deponent?
No.
Okay.
Only the deponent. Okay, is that it, everyone?
Yes.
That's it.
Okay. Miss Elliott, I'll leave the chat open. Oh, I think he's going to send it to you, so I'll be the last one to leave. Anyway, let me just go off the video here.